Today on the Crit House, we're doing something a little bit different. We're stepping away from our 3 series to talk about a project that celebrates an entire community of photographers. Townies is a brand new homegrown zine dedicated to showcasing the best of New England and Boston street and documentary photography. It's a field that's long been under-recognized in this region. Townies is giving a voice and visibility to photographers who see meaning in the everyday, from familiar neighborhoods to fleeting moments of human connection. Joining me in this conversation is one of its publishers, Nick Solarz, to talk about the upcoming first issue, the vision behind the magazine, and why this is such an important step for street photography in New England and Boston. And so the reason I like this is because I have a bee in my bonnet in some way that feels like street photography in the Boston area is not respected. And I think in some ways it's not respected by the photographic community in the Boston area and in New England writ large. But I also think that it's not seen as something of note to the world in general. I love that you are doing this zine, Townies. I love that I'm part of it because there are a couple of my images, so thank you very much for curating that in.
Yep, thank you for submitting.
I submitted because I have this passion for Boston photography, and I think what street photography in Boston, because I think there's a lot of very good work that's being done, and there's not an awful lot that is holding it up and saying, look at this great work, so that the rest of the world can see it and appreciate it and to honor the work that's being done here. So I salute you for publishing Townies and for putting this out, because there's I've seen the PDF that you sent me. There's very good work in there.
Yeah, definitely.
Tell me about, so is my bugaboo about Boston street photography the same bugaboo you have, or like why was it you decided to go out and publish Townies?
Yeah. Yes. I mean, in a nutshell, that is definitely a big part of the reason. I will expand it a little bit in that we're not just limiting it to Boston or the Boston area, but looking at kind of New England as a whole. But fundamentally, yes, right? I think there are so many great photographers who either got their start or kind of currently working in the New England area. And, to your point, right, it does feel underrepresented in the kind of grand scheme of things, particularly street photography, right? Like there is a lot of New York street photography, LA, then getting in abroad, you get places like London, Paris, etc. Boston has its own qualities to it. And I think the more we're able to showcase that, the better off we'll all be. And so like a big part of it was like, how do we do it in a way that honors the medium? And that was, the idea around actually printing something tangible that we could put together and get it out there in the wild. So that was a big part of it too.
You have 3 featured photographers in this first edition of it, you being one of them for good reason.
Yeah.
Nick Girvin, who's based up in Portland, Maine, and then Sage Sawyer,
correct,
who just does amazing work and has been shooting not only in Boston but around the country for quite some time. So those are 3 great selections. How did you decide on those? I mean, you, of course, but how did you decide on those 3 people as being your featured photographers in this first edition?
Yeah. So first, I have to say that I have 2 other people that I'm working with as kind of co-founders for this. So it is not purely me, putting together the actual zine, doing the design, managing the Instagram, etc. It's myself, my friend Clay Lomnath, and my other friend Brad Romano. Both of them also, very gifted Boston-based street photographers, been doing some great work over many, many years at this point. When it came down to who was going to be the kind of featured photographers, they were, to my, humbleness, decided to put my name forward as one of them. So I appreciate them for that. But my rule was they had to go make the final selects. I couldn't do it for myself because I knew I would be too close to it. But with respect to Sage and Nick and getting their participation, one of the things we were looking to do as we were, kind of brainstorming what we want this zine to look like and what kind of format we think it should take, the idea of having kind of featured photographers as a way to have something to kind of anchor the selections, especially with wanting to get kind of, quote unquote, bigger names out there as part of this. And again, focusing specifically on people in or from the New England area. That was a big part of it. So we put together kind of a short list of, people that we are looking to, reach out to, and over time, who we want to kind of be included as part of that feature selection. And by the nature of people being very gracious and us being very lucky, we were 2 for 2 in our first outreach with both Nick and Sage. So it was really beneficial. Both of them were really gracious to agree to be a part of this.
Well, I have a list of folks that I think you should think about as well.
Definitely. Yeah. Please pass us names.
If you really think about it, just in terms of the work that's has been done historically, Eugene Richards and, his book Dorchester Days, one of the great street foot books, period, in my mind. And I mean, I know he's moved on to New York, and even like Richard Sandler, who's done some amazing work, and Stella Johnson and Michael Hintlian, and I know I'm forgetting a lot of people, but there's some great work that comes out of Konstantin Manos. Let me not forget,
Yes.
He lived in Boston and did some great work here as well. Those are amazing names, and let's embrace it.
100%.
And anyway, so I know I'm backtracking on the things that I've already said, but tell me about like the process that you went through to put this together. So you put out a call, and people responded. Tell me about the process you have gone through in putting this zine together.
Sure.
Close to publication, right?
Very, very close to publication. Yeah. Hopefully, I don't know what time this will air, but hopefully, by the time this airs or very shortly after, we will be opening up ordering for the first issue. So this started probably over a year ago, and at least in terms of talking about it, it was kind of Clay and myself kicking back and forth the idea of like, hey, we should do a zine together. What do we want it to look like? That kind of expanded into like, hey, it would be cool if we do not just us two, but having, like a New England zine, or at the very least Boston at that time, I think was what we were talking through. And then we kind of, priority shifted. We, we're kind of every month or two, we'd kind of come back to the idea of like, oh, we should do this. And then around maybe April, June of this year, I kind of decided like, hey, maybe if we pull Brad into this, who's also, another friend of ours and very talented in his own right for photographically, maybe having the third person will kind of be the forcing function to get our asses in gear and actually start putting something together. And that proved to be true. So between the three of us, we, kind of started this just a, iMessage group thread of talking about ideas back and forth, what we wanted to do, how we wanted to put it together. We met just kind of in person at a coffee shop to kind of brainstorm on some ideas, and then started to run with it from there. So the first thing was basically figuring out a name, and that took a little bit. I think I believe I can give myself credit with the Townies name, but we wanted it something to be fairly fun and playful, but also having an ode to the Boston, New England area, and that just felt perfect.
I was just going to say, I don't know that people outside of the New England area will know what the nomenclature of Townies is.
Perfect, and that's why it works.
Yeah, I love it. So you started along the process of putting this together. How did you come to the final? Well, you put out a call, and then how did you go through the process of editing it down?
Yeah, we put out a call. It was very important for us to not do any sort of like fees or charging for submissions. Some open calls will do, particularly with any sort of like quote unquote photo contest. We wanted it to be, the purpose of this is really to showcase the work, not to be a money-making endeavor. And so, very simply, we set up a website, threw up a Google form to be able to, kind of have people submit to, do the kind of file uploading, and then started trying to get the word out amongst our kind of, local network of other photographers that we knew, using social media like Instagram and stuff like that to kind of get the word out more publicly as well. And basically said like, hey, we're going to leave this open until the beginning of September as our kind of target cutoff date, with the idea that hey, you're free to submit after that. They won't be considered for this first issue, but the intent is really to have this be self-perpetuating and accumulate new work as we go and be able to kind of constantly look for new stuff to kind of showcase. So the first call was really good. We got like over 50 submissions, which I was pretty impressed with. A lot of Boston-based people, which is not unexpected.
Submissions, not 50 photographs. You got 50 people submitting.
Correct, 50
right.
people.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. Varying mix of skill sets, varying mix of kind of style and color, but definitely kind of in the street photography or documentary realm, which was what we were targeting. And then from there, it was kind of anchored by the showcase people that we're getting with Sage and Nick, both of their work being so focused in black and white, or at least the stuff that we were looking at. That gave us the kind of decision of like, okay, this first issue is going to be black and white focused. Let's take a look at what we have and narrow the pool from there. So I messaged everybody who submitted, but if you're a color photographer, your time is coming. I promise the next issue this spring will be fully color. So and we're taking a look at all of the stuff that we still have kind of untouched in addition to any other submissions we get between now and then. But there's a lot of really great color work that we weren't even kind of considering for this first one. So
now I gotta learn how to shoot color.
Yes.
Be in your mag.
Yeah, same.
Well, good. So what about this book have we not talked about that's important for you to communicate to the world?
Ordering will be starting soon. We're also talking about potentially doing, something like a launch party or kind of a release party. We'll have to see how that goes, but that'll be fun. Especially like there's a lot of people based in the Boston area. Like we can all get together. We haven't done it yet, but we plan to reach out to some of the local shops that do carry photo books or at least carry photo book adjacent stuff to see if they would be interested in carrying issues. So more information to come on that soon once we start to kind of put feelers out there. But I'm hoping that, this being so kind of community based and these, the shops that we're looking at being kind of part of the community as well, that they'd be open to it. But we haven't had those conversations yet, so we'll see.
And the website is
is
and what
towniesmag.com. Very simple.
And on Instagram it is
Townies Mag. Consistent.
There you go.
All one word. Yep.
Keep from confusing people. Well, I am very much looking forward to seeing the hard copy.
Same.
I will be front of line to make the purchase, and if you have a gathering, I hope to be there as well.
Definitely.
Nick Solarz, what a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you very much
for doing it,
me.
and thank for your team for putting it together as well. It is long since due. I'm looking forward to the first one and the second one and the third one and subsequent ones as well. Nice job.
Yep, definitely. And just again to shout out, Clay and Brad are equal participants in this and putting it all together, so they get just as much credit as I do for anything. So,
yep, good stuff.
Cool.
And
thank you very much.
Thank you all for watching the Crit House.